You know, guys, couples counseling is an okay thing to seek out every now and again. All right. So this is in the catch-up catalog of movies. But we finally got a chance to watch Monday, which is one of those kind of like indie films that came out a couple week or so back. That is mostly known for having the Winter Soldier in there right after, like, right off the heels of like Falcon and Winter Soldier. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's see what.
And he rides a motorcycle in this too.
And he rides a motorcycle. You see his dick. So there's that.
And
Uh,
and his butt cheeks. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, I'm not one to criticize on that, but good looking man.
Yes.
Although I think tidy whities is a bold choice. Uh, just me personally. I think we all grow up a white tidy whitey phase at some point, but I guess some people never do. But I will. So yeah, this is a fairly straightforward mumblecore, not really romantic comedy. Well, it starts out that way, kind of like rom-dram, I guess you would call them. And for
Loosely.
for the most part, it's perfectly fine up until the very end. And I'll talk a bit about that because I had some issues with how all that was handled. But what did you think?
From the sounds of it, you liked this a bit more than I did, which is kind of a reverse for us in these typically. I thought the shots and the cinematography were gorgeous. It takes place in Greece, so it has a stunning setting to work with. So whoever the cinematographer and director of photography are, I hope they get more work, preferably with stronger scripts, because this script is a skeleton outline, and I really liked the shots in this movie. I just didn't like the characters or the unnecessary attempts at drama, all of which could have been dealt with if they had acted more their age and communicated instead of acting like horny 20-somethings and continuing to do it instead of talk about multiple issues they obviously have. So it's pretty but pointless. It's a beautiful package wasted on a weak story with shallow characters is my basic thought.
That's valid. I can definitely that communication. I don't think it's wrong necessarily. I think more where I coming from it is like this is a story about inherently immature people, so I wasn't really expecting them to solve their issues immaturely. I guess in that respect, the way I kind of saw this movie, this is my personal take. There's no way like right or right answer to this. Is I kind of interpret this as the almost like the after credits to the more classical rom-com formula of they meet somebody and they fall in love in 3 days, have a grand romantic gesture at the end, and they have happily ever after. A good chunk of movies on the happily ever after is like, no, these people are fucking psychos. And they're going to tear each other apart, which is ultimately what ends up happening. So I'm not going to say this is a great movie by any measure, but if I'm looking through that lens of just like, okay, here's the supposed happily ever after with these two people who like have this intense sexual relationship that spawns and turns this big thing, and within the course of like 4 days, give or take, what would it actually look like long term? And the answer is not very good.
Rather dysfunctional.
Extremely dysfunctional, as you would expect from two horny rabbits who will not stop fucking.
Yes, that's what they act like.
Their entire
like, damn, they're doing it again.
It's based on just spontaneity and just like baseline impulsive chemistry, and that's really all they have going for it. So when they actually have to deal with real life adult issues, they don't actually have the tools to handle it. So that's kind of the approach I took it with, which is why I think I got a bit more out of this than you did. That being said, I also do think your take is 100% valid, and these are horrible people, and you should absolutely not like them or want to be like them. And I do think that, like, I do agree the story is weak. I do like the shots of Greece are probably the best part of it. That being said, I couldn't get myself to outwardly hate this movie, maybe just because I've just seen worse so far this year. Oh, did you freeze on me? Are you still there? Oh no, I think I lost Sarah. Sarah? I'm going to pause for a second. Okay. You were saying, go ahead.
Stunning camera work. It's just too bad it's wasted on such a weak story.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think like this is definitely going for like the mumblecore kind of indie drama, which can work really.
I've never heard that before.
Mumblecore.
Mm-hmm.
It is a thing. It's basically when there's not really a full script, there is an outline of a script, and the actors just kind of make up as they go along. I don't know if this really qualifies as that, but it definitely has the similar like trademark pieces of it, which is like kind of more naturalistic dialogue. The fact there's like not necessarily a straight ebb and flow to any particular scene, and like it's one of those things. It's kind of a hard formula to master for those who aren't key at it. I don't know this director's filmography, so I'm not gonna say whether or not they are or not. I know like one of my favorite movies is Rinky Buddies, and that's a mumblecore movie, and that also has a very basic plot line. So it really just depends. It really just depends on execution of the concept, and it's well acted. The performances are good, for what they are. I like Sebastian Stan. I thought he was
Yes.
And I don't know the woman's name, but I thought she was good.
And they and the camera work, or their performances and the shots and the camera work all have this amazing viable kinetic energy at various parts in the movie, which I really appreciated. I just can't get over the lack of communication and the fact that the story is moved forward by the fact that they don't talk to each other.
Yeah. And that's a valid critique. Again, I'm more on the line where I personally believe that was intentional. That does not necessarily mean it works, but I do think it was intentionally that way. So again, how much that you'll get out of that will vary in volumes.
Yes.
So like that's definitely more of a personal taste thing.
It's worth watching at least once for the shots and the camera work. But if you're looking for substantial character, if you're looking for substantial characters, you're not going to find them here.
No, like I said, these are pretty awful people for the most part.
Yes.
But I think like really I was kind of just on the movie for the most part. What really kind of killed me was the ending. This is going to spoil the territory a bit because that's where I felt like, okay, this feels really contrived. All right, this feels really forced. Like this doesn't feel like it happened organically. Like everything else, better or worse, I can more or less buy that would happen in the context of the scene. But then there gets a whole sequence when like the woman does like cocaine, and then she starts wanting to like have sex in like this random random empty tavern. Okay, that's not entirely out of character. But then it talks about this whole thing like, oh, I had an abortion. Why are you upset about that? Oh, we were just using all these kind of things that just kind of came up sporadically. And it's like, this feels like a really clunky conclusion to that particular plot thread.
Here's my big issue with that scene. The first time she tells him about, oh, I aborted your baby, is when he's inside her in that abandoned building. And yeah, it's like, mood killer much?
I'm not even gonna make a joke on that. But no, that's what I mean though. Like a lot of this happened kind of at the end. It kind of felt like it kind of came out of nowhere, even for like these people. Where just all of a sudden, like I don't care. Like okay, I'm not gonna pretend I know what cocaine does to a person, because I've never personally partaked. But that being said, like there is definitely a line between like okay, like this feels like you just threw this in here so you had a dramatic ending.
Yeah, it felt forced.
And that was kind of what killed it for me in the end, which is why I'm not gonna like fully recommend this movie. Like rental if you're a Sebastian Stan fan, but like that's the most I really give it, because like that ending really did kind of ruin the rest of the movie for me. Just because it did feel rushed, it did feel forced, and then it ended in the kind of a clunky, inconclusive way that did not feel earned.
Yeah, it's just okay. It's over.
Like, oh, they went to go get his son. It's Monday now. Ooh, that's the name of the movie. And
Yes.
that's pretty much how it goes. And it's like, okay, well, if you actually like stuck to your guns and had it like going like these two toxic people trying to make a bad relationship work, you can maybe work with it. But then you have this whole thing of, oh, she goes to court and he wasn't there because he called her ex and all this stupid like contrived bullshit. That's where it felt like, okay, like this is too much. This is not going like this isn't going anywhere at this point. This is just drama for the sake of drama, and it doesn't work.
No,
So like
it doesn't.
Sorry, I know I think I had a lot more to say about this movie than you did. But like I said, like you said, though, like the shots of Greece are beautiful. And like
amazing. I don't know who the DP and cinematographer are, but give them more work.
I'm sure they will. I mean, I always like seeing Grease. Like even on the Mamma Mia 2, I still like seeing Grease. So you know, it's pretty. I'd like to go someday.
I recommend it.
Yeah, and like you know, acting's decent. But yeah,
story is not.
Like the rest of it, just like for all the potential it had, it just ends very unsatisfactorily.
Yes.
Like if it had like a solid conclusion, maybe you can kind of overlook its flaws and look over the fact that these are incredibly immature man children or adult children that should not be together. But like you can kind of forgive that if it led somewhere, but it really doesn't. And it just kind of leaves like, okay. And by the time the credits roll, you're like, okay, I guess that was it then.
This is the second movie we've talked about this season about toxic, dysfunctional romantic relationship with beautiful cinematography as the main saving grace of the film.
Wait, what was the other one?
So,
Minari?
Malcolm and Marie.
Oh, I forgot Malcolm and Marie already.
So I'm mildly curious between this and Malcolm and Marie. I wonder if this is going to be a new trend for romantic dramas of two immature people staying together who really shouldn't, while they're gorgeously shot.
I would argue this one is at least better, and that is not nearly as pretentious as Malcolm and Marie is. Because Malcolm and Marie had its head far up its own ass. At least this one, like, these people have their head up their ass, but it feels like you're supposed to think that. So, like, at least there's some validity to that belief. I did not get that in the Malcolm and Mail. You were supposed to think these are two deep thinkers. They're fucking not. They're fucking not. They need lots of therapy and someone to tell them no. That's what they fucking need.
Yes.
But anyway, so I don't know.
Yeah, that was the only other main thought that I had was wondering if this was going to be a trend now.
God, I don't know. Probably. I have a feeling that idea of like toxicity is going to come up a lot. In fact, I just rewatched Scott Pilgrim versus the World like in theaters recently. So that's a case like, oh, there you go. That follows a trend.
I watched that for the first time on Netflix a month or two ago.
Nice. They had they were doing like for Dolby Surround Sound. They had like a limited re-release in theaters over the weekend. So
fun.
Yeah, so that was exciting.
Has good music in it.
Oh, it like in Dolby Surround Sound. Oh, it's amazing. Like you really appreciate the sound design. That's my short review of Scott Pilgrim versus the World in Dolby.
Nice.
But go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have much else to.
That's okay. I feel like I have more to say than I had to say about this too.
It's a pretty film, but a rather pointless one.
Yeah, that I for the most part agree. So by the way, I hope you guys enjoy this new like pseudo set I have. It's better than my bed.
Nice.
It's coming together. Yeah. There's some You can look carefully. You can see artwork and stuff in the background. Ooh la la. Uh, and psychonauts on the side.
I apologize to anybody watching this for the lighting. It's a extenuating circumstance.
Do what you gotta do, sir. We all do. God knows, I've been filming this in my bed for the past year. All right.
That's usually what I'm sitting on at home. I'm somewhere else this evening.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So I think that's all we have for Monday.
This is our review of Monday, which we filmed on a Monday.
Of course, typical. We finished our character arcs. Close credits. Anyway, so we got a bunch of movies out right now that I gotta go watch. I'm not even gonna take time to list them right now because I know we're on the clock. So I'd say we'll see you on the next one whenever we record. All right. You got any final thoughts before we close out?
Thank you for tuning in.
I'll take it. All right.
Thanks for tuning in, and give the DP and cinematographer more work because they're the real stars of this movie.
Yeah.